Focus. Focus up. I'm talking to you, Cruz and Ritz. Those are my two oldest boys. They are crushing it right now in summer football. And I just want you guys to know I'm proud of you and keep up the good work. We've been there. We understand the grind and we're just proud of you. Welcome to episode 37 of the Rubio Method. My name is Chris Rubio. I'm your host, along with Lord Nicholas Monaghan. I'm out in Idaho. He's out in Minnesota, fighting the good fight and trying to buy a home with signatures left and right. Monaghan, you can do it. On today's great episode, we have what to do if your friend's experiencing depression, pet peeves, dyeing your hair. That'll be interesting. Major surgeries, the movie The Usual Suspects, the LBC, friends cooking for friends, UCLA versus USC, treating everyone with respect. All of that and much, much more on episode 37 of the Rubio Method. Christian, I'm out. Focus. Focus up. I'm talking to you, Sub 60 Ed and Chalice. Keep up the great work with all that you're doing with the NGBN.TV community. Monaghan, we are back. What is our minute with Monaghan?
Yeah, today's minute with Monaghan is one that is really powerful and, in fact, something that we don't often talk about, and that is what to do when our friends are experiencing depression. So here are 4 little tips when your friend's experiencing depression and what you can do to help them out. Number one is obviously just be there. Be a good listener. Listen to them. Obviously, it is tough when a friend is depressed. Obviously, it can bring the mood down, but they seriously need you there. And when I say seriously, that leads us to number two is take it serious, right? Like we know people that are, they can be depressed. It can be a lot. It's a long journey, but take them very seriously in that even if sometimes it may not feel like at times for you it's worth it, but take it seriously. Number three, and this is one that you don't always think about, is keep them in the loop with everything that's going on with your friendship groups, right? Like an easy way for someone to feel even worse about themselves is if they're not invited to things, or if something happened and they weren't notified about it. They can really feel bad. And then number four is just pay attention to serious signs such as them starting to give all their stuff away. That's a major sign of that they may be getting closer to harming themselves. And then also to the pay attention to the signs of, if they talk seriously about harming themselves, or if they create a plan on how to harm themselves. Those major 3 things are key signs that maybe some intervention with a professional is needed.
Monaghan, those were fantastic. I mean, a little dark, but I guess every once in a while you got to be dark when you're talking about this. So number one, let me recap. Be there. Number two, take it serious. Number three, keep them involved. Number four, pay attention to obvious signs. Is number one, in my opinion, is the most needed. Be there. Just literally be there.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Because when people are depressed, they feel like they don't have any support around them. And they feel like they're a big burden to others with their depression. So being there is really important.
But Monaghan, those were fantastic. That went over a minute, but it was well worth it. Well done. If you guys have any questions, you can email rubio@therubiomethod.com and continue to do a great job of sharing on ngbn.tv, therubiomethod.com, Apple, YouTube, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and Rumble. Speaking of email, Monaghan, you got 3 questions for us?
Yes, we do. First one is a fun one, I think. The question from Leonard in Olympia, Washington says, your comments on FaceTime in public were very funny and made me wonder, what are other pet peeves do you have? And I'll start this one off, Rubio, just because it's so topical to our conversation in our pre-show here. Pet peeves is when you're buying a house and you have 8,000 signatures and they don't give it to you all at once. It's like, why? Just give me everything all at once and I'll sign it. But it's just a whole long road. And then the second one is when you're driving and you're turning left, and the car in front of you doesn't go out in the middle. They sit back and stay in
Oh,
lanes. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. It's like, buddy, go.
that's an epidemic here in Idaho, where people don't know you're supposed to be in the middle. So as soon as that last car goes, you can just make a big time turn right away. And then because here, once it turns yellow, everyone slows down. Where like coming from LA, where I grew up, Yellow just meant speed up, and you got another 9 cars coming through. It's like yellow, pinkish hue, maybe red, and you're still going through. So Monahan, that's those are 2 great pet peeves. I'm backing you. My 2 are, and Damon Dale started to do this, and I've had to slap him around a little bit. Just kidding, maybe. People that whistle in public, I'm out. I don't care how happy you are, or if you're one of the 7 dwarfs, I'm out. You're no whistling in public. No one wants to hear that crap. That's number 1. And number 2, I was in Vegas this past week for a couple days, celebrate mine and the Queen's anniversary. Shout out to the Queen. She's not watching. We were in the Mirage pool. This is a massive pool. It's the size of a football field or whatever, but it's oblong shape. And my pet peeve is the people that are in those pools where there's 1,000 people, and they're trying to do laps. And they're swimming. Like, what are you trying to prove? Right now is not the time to get in your laps. You're not getting the exercise. And then don't look at me pissed off when your hand, scrubs up against my right butt cheek. Okay, let's just get away from me. Go do your laps somewhere else, not in this big Vegas pool of booze and people. That's all I'm saying. Monaghan, number 2.
Those are great. Number 2 comes from Felicity in San Antonio, Texas. Asks, what are your thoughts on women and men dyeing their hair Rubio Gold?
Okay, I'll start with, this is obviously an odd question for me, but it's my wife has been begging me to dye my goatee back to black because she says it's salt. I'm looking at myself right now. It's salt and pepper, and with a lot more salt. And I told her, I think I'm past the point of dyeing it now because it would be too distinct. Like, okay, you can kind of see the white, but then if you all of a sudden you just want all black, you can't do that. I mean, because then it becomes too obvious. Like, okay, this guy's trying to hold on to, age 32 or whatever it is. For ladies, I do what you got to do. But I think at some point you got to pull the plug because you can't be like the 97-year-old with like jet black hair. That's just odd to me. That's my take. Monaghan?
Yes, that is so funny. Nothing cracks me up more when it's an old man with jet black hair and you can see like the grease coming out. It cracks me up. It's like, who are you fooling?
Yeah. You just want to you want to play the song from Frozen. Let it go. Let it go.
Dude, yes, I'm out on that. I know Just for Men has the S&P for me, that's salt and pepper. I can kind of get behind that, but at some point, man, hey, listen, the cows left the stable, baby. You're out.
Yeah, you got to just go. You just got to go.
Yes, and women as well. I mean, I don't really have as much of an opinion, but I agree. Actually, this did actually happen. I saw a lady, she was quite old, and her hair was she was hanging on just like the guys do, and I was like, hey man, let's go. At this point, I feel like once you're past like 50 or 60, it's personality season for the rest of your life.
Well, 100%. It's the same thing when like girls or guys get plastic surgery and they're like 87 years old and they're trying to look 30. It's like, dude, you're closing in on a century mark. Like, let's just move on. Speaking of moving on, Monaghan, what's the third question?
That's a good one. I didn't know we could get as fired up as we can.
Well, yeah, got all fired up now.
That's right. Last question is from Susie from Big Bear. Asks, have you guys had any surgeries? I've had a few. I had shoulder surgery because I've dislocated my left shoulder 4 times and my right one twice. And so I just fixed one of them and the other one's been fine. But the one surgery, I had a tooth pulled and I should have done surgery and I should have gone under. I don't know, Ruby, if you've ever had your tooth pulled, but I did it no anesthesia, or I did it not being put out to sleep, but just local anesthetic.
What an idiot.
It's the worst thing in the world. It is literally the worst thing in the world. Like, I was scared. All the pressure on my skull. I felt like the lady.
Well, you're a moron. Why would you do that?
I don't know. It was my first time. She's like, yeah, we'll put the anesthesia in. You'll be fine. This lady basically had her knee on my chest with a pair of pliers, ripping my. Oh my God. It was horrendous.
Hey, Wyatt Earp, we've got technology now, man. You don't need to do that.
I was like, this is going to be a simple in and out. She's going to yank it out. Off we go.
Money. We'll talk about this later because now you've pissed me off. You always demand the extra drugs, especially if they have the laughing gas and all that good stuff. That's just insane. I told you guys early in episode where I had the colonoscopy, or I can't pronounce it, but I don't even know if that's a surgery or not. I mean, just basically a camera going up the, where to go. But I had LASIK. I think I spoke about that, which is fantastic. Shout out to that person who invented that. But as a freshman in college, a redshirt freshman in college. I had my appendix taken out. It almost burst. And here's a funny little story about it. Christian, I know we're a minute over, but this is a good one. So it felt like all of a sudden, it felt like sub 60 Ed was in my stomach with a blowtorch. I was burning. I'm like, oh man. And I was actually at home, thank God. And I was telling my mom, something's not right. I feel like I'm burning. It hurt really bad. So finally go in and they said, yeah, your red cell count or white cell count or blue cell count, something's really off. Dude, your appendix is about to burst. And if it bursts, all hell breaks loose because, like, I guess stomach acid goes everywhere. So we got to go do emergency surgery. And I'm like, fine, let's do it. So after you have surgery, they move all this crap around in there. And you don't realize how much you use your stomach just for talking, coughing, sneezing, anything. And so it hurts. And I mean, I'm in the hospital for like a day or two, but I'm young and they're like, okay, you're going to recover soon. And I go, after like a day or two, I'm getting, nervous. Like, let's get, I got to go. I'm getting antsy. And then finally they tell me, hey, you can leave anytime you want if, and I go, okay, if what? She goes, all we have to do is make sure that your stomach is working. So all you have to do is fart and you can go. And I go, that's it? And I literally lifted up a butt cheek and like, and I go, I'm out of here. She goes, you've been holding that in the whole time? I go, yeah, man, I'm not going to crap my pants in front of a nurse. And she goes, well, let it rain. You're out. And so for future reference, farting in front of a nurse is good, I guess.
There you go.
On that note, that was a great minute with Monaghan and 3 questions sent into Rubio at therubiomethod.com. We've got segment 3 with Anthony Cobb and segment 4, the bottom line coming up. Christian, I'm out.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie. Nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
Focus up. I'm talking to you, Goldstein. Thanks for all your help out this past weekend in my camps. You did a great job. Keep grinding, my man. Welcome back to episode 37 of the Rubio Method. My name is Chris Rubio. I've got along with me Anthony Cobb. AC, what is up, my man?
Robes, is all good at time. It goes good to be with you, sir. Always a good time to be with you.
Fantastic. Who is Anthony Cobb? He's a UCLA Bruin, just like yours truly. He's married for 25 years. He's got 2 kids, one at LMU, one who just got to San Jose State. He's the host of AC Sports Live. He's the owner of the production company AC Media Pro, which focuses on sports, documentaries, and recruiting highlight reels, and recently partnered to open a trucking school to help people become licensed truck drivers. AC, you are quite the Renaissance man. Are you ready for 3 quick hitter questions?
Let's do it.
Number 1, you say one of your favorite movies is The Usual Suspects. Who's your favorite character in that movie?
That's Kaiser Soze, man. It's Kevin Spacey. I mean, he goes the whole time as Verbal Kent. And at the end, he says the phrase that I still use to this day, the devil's greatest trick was convincing the world he didn't exist. And if that's not true in fiction and nonfiction, it's just the coldest line. He straightens up and hops in the car like it's no thing. Like, that Joker is just so cold-blooded, man. That's my guy.
And the fun, when he's doing that final scene and he's limping in his hand, and then he just lights up his heater and he starts walking normal, and then he gets in the car, you're like, what? What? No, you're like, no, it was so good. But there's a lot of people that have not seen that movie, which kind of pisses me off because, and then you show it to them and they're like, wow, how did I miss this?
Man, you figure a classic like that is timeless. It's the guys, the characters, everybody in there is like paying dues, so to speak. And you'll see some guys that you recognize, some guys that are just like, wow, that guy's a big time star now. But
exactly.
And I still want to know what was in that stinking briefcase. But
you'll never know.
You never know.
Number 2, you're from the LBC. For those that don't know, it's Long Beach City. It is home of a lot of fantastic athletes. Who are the best 2 ever to come out of LBC, not including yourself or your son?
Oh man, it's a name drop conversation, and I mean, of course, I've played against and played with some of the known best. I played with Willie McGinnis. He's going through a situation right now, but he was still an awesome football player. One of my first jobs going up to varsity at Long Beach Poly was the crackback block on the defensive end, which happened to be Big 55. At that time, he was 95, and that was a scary, very scary interaction. But he was the best player. And then the guy who didn't make it, a guy named Jason Jones, who is actually the cousin, great uncle of Jack Jones, who is also in a little bit of trouble right now. But Jason Jones, we call him Trouble, was the best football player I've ever seen. And he didn't get a chance to play at the next level. He chose the streets over the glamour and glitz of college football. But there were some guys that played and did not get a chance to play. Some of the best players in Long Beach who didn't get the chance to play at the next level. Incredible athletes, man. So it's always the 1% that makes it. And you hear about the great ones, Juju and all those guys, Deshaun Jackson, those guys. The long list, but it's hard to not say those two guys are the best guys I played against at Long Beach Poly.
When you're done watching this podcast or listening to it on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon, and Apple, make sure you look up athletes that have come out of Long Beach Poly and just sit down and be, oh my God. AC number 3, if I'm coming over to your house and I want you to cook me a dinner, what are you cooking me?
All right, man. So my third career, I'm going to be a chef, man, because I have the best fried catfish. And I also have the best crab cakes. I also have a pretty good signature chicken wing, and I have a mystery sauce that I've concocted. So you come over here, I'll cook up some of my, usuals, but I also have a mean cheesesteak. Being a guy with Philly roots, I had to have a mean cheesesteak, and it starts with that 100% grade A ribeye, thinly sliced with onions, great caramelized onions, bell peppers, provolone cheese, nice roll. I set you a real nice groups if you come.
So what one meal simply will not do it?
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, if I'm eating cheesesteak, crab cakes, I mean, crab cakes could be the appetizer, but then you've got catfish as well. I mean, when I sit down and eat, I'm going to let it rain, Daddy. And I mean, I don't want just like, I want things flying all over the place. I'm going to eat. It's not going to be like it's going to be my cheat day.
Oh man. I mean, I'm just giving you a smorgasbord, man. Just put it all together and have it coming out like I'm having a Super Bowl party. I'm on this grill, just cooking up my favorites and cooking up my best. The last time the Eagles won the Super Bowl versus the Patriots, I'm making cheesesteaks. I'm making wings. I'm making, fried chicken wings. I'm out here just making just a cheat day special, and no vegetables, no water, just soda pop, cactus coolers, cream sodas. French
Cactus
fries is
cooler.
our
Jesus, where the
vegetables.
hell did you pull that out of? I haven't heard of the word cactus cooler since like 96.
I
They
keep
still sell those?
I keep a case in the pantry. It's mine. It's
Where did you rob it from? The Smithsonian?
Hey, you look around. You got to go to the ghetto Walmart. You'll find something.
All right. So AC, you and I played football together at UCLA. Let me take you back to a year called about 1996, maybe 97. I'm not exactly sure. It kind of blurs out after once you get past 5 years. And we are in the UCLA USC game. We're getting throttled. And for those that don't know, the UCLA USC game is one of the top rivalry games in the world, in my opinion. It's a football game, and what makes it so unique is that the teams are, I think UCLA and USC are only about 11 miles apart, and probably 85 to 90% of each team has played against one another, either growing up in LA or Southern California area, right around there. And we ended up coming back and winning in a double overtime. You had a very, very distinct play that has been known as one of the greatest plays in UCLA history. Christian, just roll the footage if you can. There's AC. I want to talk about the emotionality. I don't know if that's a word, but I'm going to use it right now, of that moment. From, okay, they have one last second. This is their last play to try to tie the game or win the game, to where, what was your emotions then to when you finally saw he's getting thrown down and the ball's kind of coming your way? I mean, what was your heart? What was your eyes? What tell me what was going on in your head right there?
Well, the emotion factor, I believe, escaped us after we blocked the field goal in regulation to put it in the overtime, and then our miraculous comeback was almost thwarted because we let them get back in field goal range before regulation. So our emotions were on a roller coaster that we could have never imagined or prepared for. So getting into OT and having a double OT and getting to the point where we've scored, now they have to score. We don't even have to, we can just knock the ball down and the game's over. And I still get teased to this day that I got the interception and just put the ball on the ground, didn't down the ball. The ball's still live to this day. The ball is still live. They could have recovered it and scored. But the emotions were so high, I forgot the rules of football. Like I could have ran that back for 109 yards and been in the record books. But the emotion and the exhilaration came to is so much of a relief, a breath air, like just seeing my teammates, seeing you and all you guys just rush to field. And it was just the one of the highest moments I've ever experienced in life when it comes to just being at the epic of working hard, getting to a point. And I mean, both teams sucked. We both, I guess,
Yeah.
we didn't make a bowl game. This was our bowl game. And it was just so exciting. I've never been a part of, a game where the crowd rushed the field. And it was just epic, man. It was just the biggest moment of my life athletically. And I'll never forget it. Even though I fumbled it, it was over with. The refs blew the whistle. The refs blew the whistle as soon as I called it game over because they were ready to go too. We were there for 3.5 hours. So, it was a great time.
So before the play, because this show's for middle-aged men, but I know a lot of kids watch as well. What was your emotions before the play? Like, okay, the last play's up here. How did you control yourself? How do you make it to where your nerves don't take over? Are you just floating, or what's the secret?
I think the secret is just being in the moment, not being afraid of the magnitude, going back to your technique, going back to what you've learned, going back to what you've seen on film, the preparation that goes into a big game, a rivalry game. And if you can silence the noise, I think that's one of the things I'm going to study for my doctorate program is performing in the zone, and mental toughness and being able to perform under pressure. It felt like practice. This guy crossed my face. I have a deep threat across my left side. I have a guy who crosses my face going to my right side, and I'm taught to get more depth to be able to cover both. And I saw my good buddy Philip Ward grab the quarterback. At this point, I know this ball is not going to be online. It's going to be a little bit, off. So if I'm in position, I should be able to make a play. In the previous overtime, I got a diving interception, which is the same type of play. And it was just, we saw these plays on film. And I think that's where a lot of kids come up short. They don't take the time in film study to study their opponent. So when the moment comes, they're excited because they see the formation. They see what could possibly happen. They see the down and distance, and they've seen it before. And do you believe it? And that's the difference between making a great play or cracking under the pressure. Like if I feet just stop in cement and I can't move because I don't know what to do right now. But if you've practiced, you prepared, it's going back to that Belichick thing. If you practice like you want to be in the game, you prepare the way you want to play in the game, you'll make plays. And that's kind of why it was like, just jump up and catch this ball and we're going home. And it was just, it was good that we had the coaches that we had that prepared us for that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Preparedness always helps. AC, you're all about tomorrow is not promised and live your best life today and don't waste time. Have you always had this mindset or did you grow into it?
I believe I always had somewhat of an idea of how I wanted to live my life as far as, being about it, not talking about it. As I was a teacher for many years and I always taught my students, it's okay to dream, but at some point you got to put your money where your mouth is and do something. That's why I always encourage my kids to do everything that they can while they have an opportunity. I encourage my son in senior year, don't just play football, do it all. Chess club, theater, whatever you want to do, because football is a very small part of your life. College is only a 4 or 5 year stint of your life if you're not going to go into, a doctorate program or something like that. But why not give everything a chance? You see, I'm trying to do everything. I don't know how many years I have. I'm almost 50. My dad passed when he was 61. So if I have 10 to 15 more years left, I have to maximize every single day. So I'm trying to do, things that are not common. starting businesses, still coaching, still want to be a chef, still want to be an artist, still want to get my doctorate. I just want to keep things in front of me. I still do sprint triathlons. I boxed 4 rounds yesterday. I don't want to jump out of an airplane, but I still want to do things that are going to challenge me. It's going to keep me sharp, going to keep me young. I mean, being middle-aged, I just bought a BMW cash the other day just because I wanted to have a sports car because now I don't have any kids. So it's just living, man. I mean, I'm a faithful guy. I go to church every Sunday. I work with the young people at my church. I try to inspire them to be good people. And it's about, maximizing that dash when you're born and when you leave this earth. What are you doing in that dash? Make sure you maximize it every single day because it's not promised.
Love that. AC, how the hell did you get into the trucking industry?
Oh, man. Well, being a video producer, I was doing commercials and I was doing promos for a buddy of mine. And he says, hey, man, I have a proposition. I have a trucking company, small box truck, but I want to get more people licensed. And he was federally recognized and all this other stuff. He had no facility. I have a facility and I make the videos for him. So he said, hey, man, instead of me paying you every week of doing these videos, how about you be a partner? So I'm a creative director, part owner, whatever you want to call it. And we just got okay from the city of Long Beach. We're open now. As soon as we leave here, I'm going to go open the doors. We got about 12 students and they're on their way to a new career. So it lines up perfectly to what I want to be. And that's going to be a person that's a conduit to change, to career changes, to better in people's lives. People who are stuck in dead-end jobs, being a truck driver creates freedom. You don't have to answer to anyone. You just got to show up and get the load to the next destination. So it just worked lined up just perfect for me.
I love that conduit of change. I really like that. Your life principle is treat everyone with respect because you never know. Is there a story behind that or what?
You never know, man. I was teaching at Los Alamitos High School. And one of my colleagues says, man, you don't know this, but in high school, you were super popular and I wasn't. But you spoke to me every day. And I was like, I did, and he was like, but, I really appreciate that. And he was my mentor as a teacher because I kind of treated him with respect. And when we were at 17, 18 years old, and I always looked out for him. And then we were adults. We were now, 25, 30 years removed. And here we are, and he's helping me. And I made that connection that, you treat people. You never know who's going to be who. As I taught my students, you guys are all going to be the next CEOs of businesses. So I'm treating you with love and respect now because I might need your assistance at some point. When I see a homeless person that might need a few bucks, I'll give them $5 or $10. And I say, God loves you because you never know who you're encountering. And I'm, again, spiritual guy, you don't know if you're entertaining angels or demons or what, I don't want to get too deep on it, but it's just like, we're all God's people. And if I don't treat everybody with respect and dignity and love, who am I? So I want to leave a mark here that, if nothing else, AC treated people with respect and love.
How do you stay so positive in such a negative world?
Unfriending. And you let people show you who they are. The great DMX said, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And I just try to keep myself surrounded by good folks like yourself, Big Rube. We meet people in life and most of them have a motive, or some people are just genuinely good people. And you help those who need help, and you find a way to surround yourself with like-minded people. But you don't shun those who are not, but you keep them at a distance, and you don't let them interfere with your shalom or your peace. So my thing is just trying to see the good. I mean, I try not to get too political on certain topics, but I'll give you my opinion if you ask it. But for the most part, we control the conversation in our lives. Sometimes you just have to walk away. Sometimes you just say, I'm not going to be involved in that. I had buddies who were involved in crime. I said, you get involved in crime around me, I'm not going to jail for you. So don't do it around me. It's just small stuff like that where you can find a way to unfriend, so to speak, the situation and keep yourself around positivity, and it'll surround you.
Yeah, I call it, sometimes you got to prune the tree. You got to prune the bush to make the bush get, the tree get bigger and better and stronger. But basically, we're just saying the same thing. AC, yeah, AC, you were phenomenal. I knew this would be good, but you were better than I even expected. Where can people find out more information on everything you're doing, Mr. Renaissance Man?
Well, I mean, it's not hard to find, like Prime says. just Anthony Cobbs. You can find that on Facebook, AC Sports Live on Facebook and YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Um, you know, there are about 4 or 5 Anthony Cobbs in the world. I've took a look one time at Google, but yeah, I haven't really did a great job branding my show, whatnot. But I'm getting back into it, getting back into my production, business. I'm gonna do some films with my daughter. But just my name alone is easy to find, and then AC Sports Live is catching up a little bit of traction. So that's where you'll find me, and I'm at T Cobbs on Twitter. So hit me up.
AC, I really appreciate it. We got one more segment, the bottom line. We're going to recap the entire show. Anthony Cobb, thank you so much for your time. Christian, I'm out.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices.
Like your text to emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on, man, let's split a ride home.
Focus up. I'm talking to you, chappies out in the San Fernando Valley. Thanks for all you guys do for myself and Sailor and you guys. I can't wait for you to get up here to Idaho soon. Welcome back to episode 37 of the Rubio Method. My name is Chris Rubio. You just heard from Anthony Cobb, and before that, you heard from Nick Monaghan. Thanks for sharing on Spotify, YouTube, Google, Amazon, Apple, Rumble, and of course the NGBN.TV network. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions, you can email Rubio@therubiomethod.com. Now we've got segment 4. This is the bottom line. For those of you that this is your first time watching or listening, the bottom line is all the stuff you should have learned without even realizing you learned it. Here we go. Number 1, help a brother out. Just like what Monaghan was saying, where there's 4 things. Number 1, be there. Number 2, take it seriously. Number 3, keep them involved. And number 4, pay attention. But like I said, the most important thing, if your friend is going through some sort of depression, be there. So number 1, help a brother out. Number 2, never get too low and never get too high. When AC was talking about that famed interception after 2 overtimes, he could have been, our whole team was pretty low about halftime. We were getting destroyed, but we didn't get too low, but we didn't get too high when we started to come back because we knew the game was not over yet, and we did end up winning in the end. So number 2, never get too low and never get too high. And number 3, you never know who you are around, so just don't be an ass. That's a plain and simple one. It's pretty easy, like AC was talking about, where his colleague that he's with now was very friendly to him, helped him out a lot, because when AC was 17 years old, and 17, you really don't even know what's happening, he was just nice to this kid and talked to him. So number 3, you never know who you're around, so just don't be an ass. That wraps up episode 37 of the Rubio Method. For myself, Monaghan, AC, and of course Christian in the back, I'm out.